Hi all, welcome to the Java session. I am Amrita Patil and today we are going to cover polymorphism in Java. Polymorphism is one of the four fundamental principles of the object-oriented programming language. The other three are encapsulation, abstraction, and the inheritance. Okay, so we have the different videos made for that principles also. So now let's see what is polymorphism. Polymorphism is, in short, we can call it as a one method, many forms. What does that mean? It allows the object of the different classes to be treated as the objects of a common superclass, and it enables a single interface to represent a group of related functionality. That means a function can act as a different forms for the different classes or the different objects. So that is called as the polymorphism. Let's see it by using an example. So we are having a class as an animal and having a method void sound, and we are just printing here animal makes a sound. If I am extending that animal class in a dog class and I am overriding and or I am reusing that sound method from the superclass in the subclass also. So in this our case, animal is a superclass and dog is a subclass. So I am just reusing or using a sound method from the superclass and I am overriding that. That means I'm just giving an another implementation for the same method, that is in this sound method of dog we are just printing dog barks. Like same wise we are having a class cat which is also extending animal class having a sound and it is printing cat meows. Okay, so the sound method is overridden multiple times in the subclasses and that is called as the polymorphism. So how I will do the code actually to call that sound method? For the first one, animal1 is equal to new dog. Here I am creating the object of dog class. And in the second line, animal2 is equals to new cat. Here I am creating an object of the cat class. If I call animal1 dot sound, then it will call dog barks. And in the animal2 dot sound, if I call this animal2 dot sound, it will print or it will give an output cat meows. Now you will got to know what is polymorphism. So there are types of the polymorphism. Okay, so what are the two types? First is the compile time polymorphism. It is also known as a static polymorphism or early binding. Why it is called as the early binding? That may because it is occurs at the compilation phase only. When you compile the code, at that time you will got to know the object is binded, and that's why it is called as the early binding. Not at the execution time, but before that, that is in the compilation phase. So it is called as the early binding, and it is called as the static. Why? Because static, because the code or whatever the object or whatever the method, whatever the um, I want to call method, that is done at the static time. That means I know that previously, not at the execution time. Before that, I know that so it is called as the static polymorphism. It is resolved at the compile time based on the method signature and it is achieved through the method overloading. We have two types, method overloading and method overriding. So compile time polymorphism is for the case of method overloading. So whatever the example we have seen, that is the example of overriding. So this will not fall in this category of compile time polymorphism. So how it will do that? In the overloading, it is having the same method name with the different parameters. That means a class example having a add method in the same class. Overloading is it is in the same class and overriding it is in the inherited classes. So in this overloading, we are having the add method, one for the integer addition and second for the double addition. So how I can say it is a compile time? Because whenever I am creating the object of the example class, example obj is equal to new example. At that time, I am calling obj.add where I am passing the integer values. So at this time only I know the this add integer a integer b will be called and our output will be 15. At the same time, when I am call if I am calling object obj.add 2.5 and 3.5, it will not call this integer method, but it will call the double method, providing the output as a 6.0. Now you will got to know that at the compilation time, at the when I am writing the code at that time only I am know which method will be called. So this is called as the early binding and the static polymorphism. Now the second method is the runtime polymorphism. The first one, it is a static polymorphism, it is a dynamic one, and this compile time polymorphism is called as the early binding, while it is called as the late binding because it is occurring at the time of runtime or at the execution only. At the execution time I will get to know which method is called. It is resolved at the runtime based on the actual object type. It is achieved through the method overriding, that is same method name and the parameters in parent and the child class. As I said earlier, it will be for the inherited classes. So whatever the example we have referred, that is the example of method overriding. Now we will see for the shape class shape. In this we are having void draw. Here we are just drawing a shape, but in case if I want to draw a circle which is extending a shape, then I will override the draw method and here I will print drawing a circle. How I will call that? Shape1 is equal to new circle, and for the circle draw method I will call shape1 dot draw and output will be drawing a circle. In case if I want to call the shapes draw method, how I will call? Then shape2 is equal to new shape and shape dot draw, that will call this draw method. Okay, I hope you have got. Okay, now see, we will see what are the advantages of this. So it will provide the flexibility which will allow the creation of extensible and adaptable code reusability. As we are reusing the code, we just don't need to rewrite the code. It will encourage the reuse of the common interfaces across the classes. It will also achieve the maintainability. That means it makes it easier to update and modify the code without affecting the parts. If I want to change or to update a particular code without modifying that, then I will go for the polymorphism. Now let's see the example live demo. In this, I am considering a class bank where this program is for getting the interest rates. So we have different banks and different banks have their own rate of interest. For the class bank, I am having a method get rate of interest. It will return 0. If suppose I have a bank SBI which is extending that bank and it will have the rate of interest as a 6.4. For the ICICI bank, it is having a rate of interest 7.3 and for Axis it is having 9.7. So these are the different classes which are extending from the bank. And in the demo, in the main function, I am just creating a bank B. And for the different object, I am instantiating that with the different classes. That means B is equal to new SBI. If I am creating the object with the SBI, then the get rate of interest for this object B, it will call the rate of interest of SBI. That means I am calling the get rate of interest, but this is determined at the time of the execution. So it is called as this is the example of which one? Compile, compile time polymorphism or runtime polymorphism? Yes, because the which method is called, it is decided at the time of execution. So it is it is a example of runtime polymorphism. For the same, if I calling the ICICI rate of interest, then B dot rate of get rate of interest by initializing that B with the new ICICI. Same for the access. And if I want to try to execute that code, then it will give the correct one. That is the rate of interest for SBI Bank, ICICI Bank, and the Axis Bank. Now let's see what are the limitations of the polymorphism. Performance overhead. Runtime polymorphism can be slower due to dynamic method lookup. As the runtime polymorphism executes at the at the runtime, it can slower the execution time. Then complexity. The concept may be difficult to grasp for the beginner. And design consideration. For this, for achieving a proper polymorphism, we have to take care of the proper design and understanding of the relations which are required for the program execution. Okay, now let's test your knowledge. First one, what is the polymorphism in OOPS? It is a programming language, it is a fundamental principle, it is a design pattern or a data structure. What will be the answer? Yes, it is a fundamental principle. Second question, which type of polymorphism occurs at the compile time? Which one? Method overloading, inheritance, polymorphism, runtime polymorphism, or the method overriding? Which will occur at the compile time? Yes, method overloading. It is called also as a early binding. The third one, what is the another name of the compile time? Just now I have repeated that. Okay, what will be the answer? Yes, it is a static polymorphism. Yes. Okay. Which keyword is used for the method overriding in Java? Override, virtual, or override. We have also seen in our example also. Yes. This keyword at the rate override is used for method overriding. The last question, what is the key benefit of the polymorphism? Faster code execution, easier debugging, code reusability and flexibility, and reduced memory uses. What will be the answer? Yes, code reusability and flexibility. Now, these are some of the questions which are based on the polymorphism concept. Try to find out the answers and let me know in case of any issues. Okay, till that, thank you and happy learning.